I'll introduce Paulina Chococh here throughout the film. She starts out by hammering the sticks that will eventually represent the winding of the warp. She takes the skein and will wrap now the warp along the sticks. Diagram showing how the warp is wound. The red represents the stakes. Warp is removed and twisted up for storage. The warp can be wound from a carousel, such as the placing the skeins on your knees. However, in this case, she's going to be winding the shuttle. A series of diagrams that shows how the thread is wound onto the stick to form the shuttle. She has made a mixture of water and mashed up corn flour to create a starch solution. The pieces of warp are then stuck into the solution in order to give them a starchy quality while weaving. This is done because the thread is very fragile and likely to break, and with the starch it has a little bit more durability. She now places the warp onto the beams. One beam is then tied around her waist in the form of a back strap. A stick is placed just to keep the place separation of the warp. She separates the portions of the warp along the beam. This diagram shows setup that she now is using. She has already placed a small thin thread along next to the lower beam, which will then form the heddles later. Set up now to wind the heddles, the heddle stick and the small thread that runs through between two sections of the warp. Each thread is separated and the heddle thread is pulled up between the next separated thread and wound over the stick, one forwards and the next one backward. Shows how the heddles are woven. Diagram of the finished heddles. She's finished winding the heddles and she's now placing the sticks in, including the spacing stick. At this point, she has already placed in the shed stick, as you can see by the diagram here. So that it is set up so that there's the beam, the heddles, the shed stick placed behind it, and then the following beam. Now she's putting in the large beater, simply to separate the threads, washing the excess pieces of starch off of her fingers. The loom is changed around so the other end can be separated and